Hello everyone. So in today's lecture we will be learning about the different type of operators in Python. And now let's start with the practical part. The first type of operator that we have are arithmetic operator, which is common in all the programming languages. So plus is for addition, minus is for subtraction, this symbol is for division, but this will give you a quotient with float value, and this will give you a quotient without float value, that is integer value. This is multiplication and this is modulus, that is giving you a remainder, right? Now let's start. So what is the best thing about Python is it is too fast, and if we take very big numbers it gives us the result within fractions of seconds. And secondly, we don't need to specify the data type, because of which it helps us a lot. Because in case of, let's say if I take a very big number here, there we had different data types, that is integer, long int, then double, and then float. So according to the range we have to specify the variable, but here there is no need to specify the data type, and we can take any length string, any length number. So if I want to add this number with any big number, so yeah, it's possible, right? And again, any number can be subtracted with any other number, whatever big number it may be. So it is going to give us this minus result, because the second number is having higher magnitude. Now coming to multiplication. Now see, in case of multiplication, let's say I take such a big number here, and then I multiply with again a very big number, right? So it's to store such a big number in other languages we have to define the data types, but here we can simply write it in this way, and we can calculate the result in some variable, and we can store it somewhere, right? So if I calculate the result, and if I see the value of x, I can see that such a big value after the multiplication is there. Even we don't know how to pronounce this particular value, because we have learned in child how to count the numbers till millions and billions. So now we'll discuss the division operator, this one and this, and let's try to understand what is the basic difference between both of them. So here I will take a smaller value. Let's say if I am taking 11 and I divide it with 2. So this is a division operator which gives us quotient value. And what is the quotient? 5.5. It means we are completely dividing 11 with 2 and we are giving this output. But if we want integer value, then we divide it with 2, then we have to use this double forward slash operator, and we can see we are not getting 5.5 but we are getting 5 here. So, and then if I apply the modulus operator here, then we can see that it is going to give us the remainders, that is 1. Let's also understand this example with another example. Let's say 25 divided by 3. So division of 25 and 3 will give us, so this is giving us complete division, right? 3 is completely dividing 25. Now again the same thing, but we use a forward slash here, double forward slash. Now see, 23 8s are 24. So now we are not completely dividing it, we are just focusing on the integer part. And then if I apply the modulus operator here, which is used for symbol, this percentage symbol, and we can see 1 is the remainder. So this was all about the different arithmetic operators, but these arithmetic operators can be used to find out or evaluate any expression. So if I say 3 plus 4 multiplied with 5, then subtracted 10, and then that is divided by 2. So what will happen here is we have plus, minus, multiplication and division. So we have 4 operators, and that this mathematical expression can be solved with the precedence rule. Multiplication and division have higher priority than plus and minus. So first of all we will solve both of them. Now multiplication and division both have same priority, so they will be solved according to their associativity. Now both are left associative operators, and because multiplication is before division, so this will be solved first. So this result is 20. Then we divide this. Then 10 by 2 is, it will give you quotient 5. Then 20, this was 20 minus 5, that is 15. Then 15 plus 3. Now let's see what is the output. This is giving us 18. Why? Because 20 minus 5 is 15, and then adding 3 will give us 18, right? Now what if I change this to something like this? I'm bringing these brackets, as we know that brackets have the highest priority. So first this will be solved. So 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 into 5 is 35, and then this will be divided. 35 minus 5. Now let's see. This is the output, right? So this explains about the arithmetic operators. Now coming to the next category, that is unary operator. Let's say I store some value 14 into variable a. Now let's see what a holds. It holds 14. Now if I write minus a, it is going to give me this minus 14 value, right? Why it is called as unary operator? Because this minus has been applied only on one single operand. So unary operators are those operators which are applied only on one operand. But what about arithmetic operators? All the arithmetic operators are binary in nature. Why they are binary in nature? They are binary in nature because they use two operands for the calculation. So plus is having two operands. Similarly, subtraction is also having two operands. The same in case of multiplication, division, and modulus operator. So all are having two operands, and the symbol, that is the arithmetic operators, are applied between the two operands. So that is why they are called as binary operators. Now coming to relational operator. What do you understand by relational operator? When we have two variables and we need to compare them, or let's say we have two numbers, we have to find out which one of them is greater. Let's say the simple example of this is, let's say we have two people, person A and person B, and we have to compare the height of these two persons. What will be the different relation? A can have a bigger height than B, or A can have a smaller height than B, or both can be equal, right? Or both may not be equal. So similarly here in this case, now let's store, let's say we have two variables, and now we are allocating some values to it. So let's say I'm taking 30 and 15 here, right? So X is storing 30 and Y is holding 15. Now if I say X greater than Y, is it true? Yeah, the condition is true. So what output you are going to get? You are going to get true, right? Now what we will do is, we'll use the same thing here. Now if I say X greater than equal to, yeah, not this one, but yeah, if I write equal to here, so again it is going to give me the same result. Why? Because X is greater than Y. Now about X less than Y, it will give us false value. And similarly, if I write X less than equal to, again false value. And if I say whether X equal to Y, so again because both the values are not equal, so it is giving us false value. Then whether X not equal to Y, so condition is true, they are not equal. So either we can store the values in the variables, or then there is another way, we can simply write the numbers. If I want to compare whether 28 is equal to 28, so output will be true, right? And similarly, if I take 10 less than 90, the condition is true. So the same can be done by directly using the values, or we can store the values in a variable and then we can calculate it, right? Now coming to the next type of operator, that is logical operators. And the three logical operators here are and, or, and not. So simply if I have, for logical operators are applied on the Boolean values, that is true and false. So let's say I hold true or true. So when both the values are true and we are using or operator, then the output is always going to be true. The same when applied between and, it is going to give us true value, because when both the values are true, only then we are going to get, in case of or operation, if any one of them is true, the output will be true. But in case of and, both has to be true, then only the output will be true. Now what if I change the sequence and one of the value is, let's say, false. Be particular about the first letter of true and false. It has to be capital. False or true, here one of the value is true, so the output is going to be true. But what if I use and operator here? So when I use this and operator, if any of them is false, the output is going to be false, right? Now what if both are false? Let's again copy this. If both are false, then obviously in this case it will be false, because any one of them is false in and, then the output will be false. But in case of or also it is going to give us the same result, because in or one of the statement has to be true. So that is false or true. No, here we have to write false. So if both of them are false, then the output is going to be false, right? Now if I write not of true, not of true is false and not of false is true, right? So it was all about logical operators. Logical operators are applied on Boolean values, that is true and false, and the different logical operators are and, or, and not, right? Now coming to bitwise operator. Generally students are confused between logical and bitwise operator, because here also we have and, or, and not. But these are logical and, logical or, and logical not, which is applied on truth values, that is truth and false. But your bitwise operators are applied on bits. And what are the different bits in computer science? Bits are 0 or 1. So bitwise operators are applied on binary number, right? Now let's take a very simple example here. I write 7 and 14. Right, now see what is the result, because 7 and 14 both are in decimal number, so we cannot calculate the result. Now let's understand it here. 7 is a decimal number and I have written the binary notation for this. Similarly, if I talk about 14, what is the binary notation of 14? It is 1 1 1 0. So when we do ANDing, if I have to do AND here, AND operation, so the result will be, first is, if any one of them is 1, any one of them is false. So here if this is 0, 1 and 1 is going to give me 1, but one of them is 0, then the output will be 0. So here we can see that it is going to give me 0. Both of them are true, then 1. Then here also it will be 1, and here, so it will be taken as 0, so output will be 0. So what is the number formed? Now let's see it. So if any one of them is 0, output is 0. Any one of them is 1, output is, both of them are 1, then only the output will be 1. Both of them are 1, so the output is 1. And here this will be considered as 0 only. So this will be 0, because 1 is 0, then output will be 0. So this is binary form. What is the decimal form of this? This is basically called as 6. Now let's see, understand this. Output is 6, right? We can take any other example here for which we know the binary value. Let's take 10 here, and let's say I take here 15, right? So again, this was 10, and so 10 will be 1 0 1 0, right? And here I am taking 15. So for 15 it will be what? So if both are 0, the output will be 0. Both are 1, the output will be 1. Then both are, if any one of them is 0, then again the output is here 0. and if both are 1, the output will be 1. So what is the output here? This is again going to give us 10 only. Now let's see what is the output here. So we can say the output is 10. So in this way, what we have to do is, whenever we are given some decimal value, that decimal value will be converted into binary form, and then one by one, from the least significant digit, we will be taking one by one. So we are comparing the digits from the ones place then to the tens place, and in this way we are trying to find out the operation on the particular bits. Now coming to this OR operator. Now let's take this example first. So here now I am applying OR operator. OR operator is denoted by this symbol. So if I want to explore the OR, so in this case what will happen is, this will be 1 because both of them are 1, so output will be 1. If any one of them is 1, then also the output will be 1 in case of OR. Both are 1, so output will be 1, and both of them are 0, so output will be 0. So the decimal value of this is 14. Now let's see what will be the output here. Let's explore it. So sorry, this was 1. So I was calculating on 10 and 15. So 0 and 1 will be 0, 1 1 will be 1, 0 and 1 will be 0, and 1 1 will be 1. So this is correct, but in this case it is giving us false result. So please correct it. This will be 1 here. By default I wrote 0 here. So now if any one of them is 1, so output is going to be 1 here. So this is also 1, and that is why the result is 15. So yeah, this is clear. Now again we will explore this for OR operator, and we'll see this is the result, right? Similarly, if I want to find the negation, so we have tilde symbol here, and I want to find out the negation of 7. It is -8. For that we have to understand the concept of 1's complements and 2's complement. I hope you remember this concept. Similarly, if I want to find out the 1's complement of -10, that is -11. So 1 greater than that, including the minus symbol. So now coming to, so this was all about bitwise operators. We also have right shift and left shift. So let's also explore this one. Let's say I have a number 4, and I want to right shift this number to, or I say left shift this number to 1, right? Let's see what will be the output here. This is 8. How? I talk about 4. 4 is 1 0 0. When I shift it to the right, what will be the output? So we are shifting this here, and these two zeros will be shifted here, so there will be one additional 0. So when I am shifting this particular index to this side, so automatically we will add 1 0 here, and we now know that the decimal value of this will be 4. Not 4, but it will be 8. So when you are shifting a digit, binary number, to the left side, that number always doubles. We can say, see any other example also. Let's say I take 110. So in case of 110 also, if we are shifting it to the left side, what will happen is 1 is shifted this side, then 0 is also shifted this side. So in the last there will be a 0. 1 1 0 0, and we know that the decimal form of this is 12. So this was 4, and this is 6. Double of 4 is 8, double of 6 is 12. So whenever you shift any binary number one bit, one digit, so it will be double, right? Similarly, what if I shift it to the left side? When I shift it to the left side, this 0 will be truncated, and this will be shifted this. So we will be having only 1 and 0, right? And 1 0 will be added additionally here on the left side. So this will be 1 0 0 1 0. So we have shifted it to this side, so the 0 has been truncated, and this result is now 2. And similarly in this case, what is happening? I am shifting this, so This 0 will be truncated and additional 0 will be there on the left hand side. So this is the result, and this is basically 3. So half of 4 is 2 and half of 6 is 3. So when you are shifting something to the left, so this is left shift. This was left shift and this is right shift. So now let's take this example for 4 and 6 both. So 4 when shifted to the left, so this is pointing to the left side, left arrow, right? And similarly I shift 4 to the right side. We can see while shifting it to the right side, the value get half, and when shifting it to the left side, the value get doubled, right? Now taking 6 here, shifting the value 6 to the left side, and what does this 1 represents? We are shifting only one bit here. So shifting 6 to the left side, only one digit to the left side, it is going to double the value. And same thing here, when we are shifting it to the right side, only one digit to the right side, then the output will be halved. So this was all about left shift and right shift, and these operators are very useful in microprocessors, right? Now coming to number system, binary, octal and hexadecimal. So we have studied all these things in detail. So now let's first of all take a very simple example. Let's take 15 here. So binary of 15, we have all calculated here. Also we can see binary of 15 is 4 ones. Now let's see what is it is going to give me. If you want to find out the binary value of any decimal number, you will use this function bin, and let's see what is the output. We are having 4 ones, and to represent that this number is a binary number, we use 0b, right? Now similarly, to find out the octal representation of this number, we will write OCT. Octal short form is OCT. So 17 is the octal representation of 15 that you can do. You can calculate it. We have already understood what are the different number systems in the first semester of computer science. So this 0O basically represents that this number is the octal representation of some decimal number, right? And similarly, when we have to find out the hexadecimal value, so we know that the hexadecimal value of 15 is 15, right? So this is F, but hexadecimal value is represented by 0x. So binary value represented by 0b, octal by 0o, and hexadecimal by 0x. So these are the different binary operators. The reverse can also be true. Now coming to the maths library now. So now let's say if I want to find out the square root of a number. We all know that the square root of, let's say, find out 64. So we know that the result is 8, but it is giving us error. Why? Because square root is not defined here. So this particular function square root is available in a library, that is math, and to use this library we have to first import it. So Python is having lots and lots of lakhs of libraries, and according to the use we have to import the libraries. So now I have to use this library math. Why? Because I need to use this function square root. So first of all I will import math. So it has been imported now. Now again if I try to use this function, let's see if it is working or not. Again it is giving me the error. Why? Because we have to use this with dot operator to access this function. So if I write math dot, then it is going to give me the square root of this number, right? Now let's say we have to find out the values of, we have to process many other functions available in math library. Let's see if I say math dot ceil, and if I have taken a number 14 point, let's say I take 5.8. So ceil means the higher value, so it will give me the higher value, that is 6. Similarly, if I take floor here, so here in this case it will be taken the lower value. It will be taking the higher integer value, that is 6. It will be taking the lower integer value, that is 5, right? Now every time using this math is going to create a lot of burden on us, because we have to write a lot. So now we can do one thing, that is we will rename this math as M, And now simply with the help of m dot, any function that we want to use. Now let's say I want to find out power function, exponent function. So let's say I want to find the power of 2 raised to the power 3. So this is the base and this is the exponent. 2 is the base, 3 is the exponent. 2 raised to the power 3 is, we all know, 8. Similarly, let's say if we want to find out 2 raised to the power 10, it is 1024, we all know. But all of these values are in float value, right? Similarly, if I have GCD, if I want to access GCD function, that is greatest common divisor. So let's say I want to find out this 10 and 20. It's very clear that the common factor here is 10. So the output will be 10. If I let's take another example here, 15 and 25. Again, it is going to give me common factor, that is highest common factor, that is 5. Here we also have one more provision, that is log function with base 2. So if I have 2 here, obviously we know that the result will be 1, right? And if we have 4 here, so 2 to the power 2, that is 4. So if I write 4, the output will be 2. In this way, if I have 1024, output will be 2 to the power 10 is 1024. So the power will be there, will be the output. So 10 is your output. Now coming to one more important function, that is m dot factorial. In this, let's say if I write factorial of 6, so it is very clear, right? Now let's say if I want to find out the factorial of a very big number, and if I write, let's say 50 here, we can see that this is the result, such a big number, right? Because we are multiplying 50 into 49, then 48 till 1. But what if I take another number which is much greater than this? Let's say if I take 1000. Now see, when we calculated this result, it came within fraction of seconds, milliseconds. But now in this case, let's see what will be the output and how much time it is going to take. So it did not take much time, and but can you see the answer? Such a big number it is. So factorial of 1000 is such a big number, right? So this is the benefit of Python. Such big computations can be calculated with the help of this, right? Now one more interesting fact. Let's say if I want to find out the factorial of a bigger number, let's say I want to access the value of 50,000, right? Now here in this case, you will see that it is going to take some time to calculate the result. Now see, it is getting processed. This star symbol is telling that this is getting processed, but it did not take much time, but as compared to the other values, it took more time. Now see the result. Factorial of 50,000 is such a big number that I have to even scroll it. See, can you see the scrolling here? We have to scroll this. So such a big output. So we have not even imagined such a big number that we are seeing here, and see the number of zeros here. So this was all about operators, and we understood the computational power of the different operators here. So that's all for today. We'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much.